Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, this is LGBT Crime Files. I'm passionate about uncovering true crime stories, especially those that impact our LGBTQ+ community. What started as a fascination with watching crime documentaries has now become a mission to raise awareness and shed light on the injustices faced by our community. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Together, we can make a difference. Today, we're going to dive deep into the tragic case of Aaron Webster, a gay man from Vancouver, Canada, whose life was cut short by a heinous act of violence. We'll explore who Aaron was, the details of the crime, the lives of the suspects, and the aftermath of this case, including the push for justice and the ongoing work of LGBTQ+ organizations inspired by his memory. This story is not just about the loss of a kind and compassionate soul, but also about how one event awakened a city and a community to the realities of hate and the need for change. So let's get started. Aaron Webster was born and raised in Vancouver, British Columbia. He grew up in a close-knit family and was known for his warmth and generosity. His friends often described him as a beacon of light, someone who could walk into a room and instantly make everyone feel welcome. Aaron's passion for photography was more than just a career. It was a way for him to tell stories and capture the essence of the people and places he loved. He was openly gay at a time when acceptance was still a work in progress, even in progressive cities like Vancouver. Aaron's courage to live authentically made him a role model for many in the LGBTQ community. He was actively involved in local events and was often seen volunteering his time to causes that mattered to him, including LGBTQ advocacy. His presence was cherished, and his life touched many who admired his bravery and openness. Aaron's love for Stanley Park was well known among his friends. He often went there to find peace and inspiration for his photography. Tragically, it was this very place that became the site of his violent end. It was a cold evening on November 17, 2001, when Aaron decided to take a walk through Stanley Park. The park was a place he often visited to clear his mind and enjoy the natural beauty of the area. But on this night, the serenity of Stanley Park would be shattered. Aaron was confronted by a group of young men who had armed themselves with baseball bats and other weapons. Witnesses later described the attackers as laughing and taunting Aaron before the brutal assault began. They showed no mercy, beating him repeatedly until he succumbed to his injuries. The ferocity of the attack left the community in shock and disbelief. A jogger discovered Aaron's lifeless body near the park's Lost Lagoon area early the next morning. The scene was haunting, and it was immediately clear to investigators that this was not a random act of violence. The brutality suggested a motive rooted in hatred and prejudice. The police launched an intensive investigation, and within weeks, they arrested four young men in connection with Aaron's murder. The primary suspect, Ryan Crane, was just 20 years old at the time. He, along with his accomplices, claimed that their actions were not premeditated, but evidence presented during the trial painted a different picture. Ryan Crane and his friends had reportedly been honor hunting, a chilling term they used for targeting individuals they perceived as weaker or different. This was not an isolated incident for them. They had a history of intimidating and attacking people in the park. Their actions were fueled by a toxic culture of homophobia and a desire to assert dominance through violence. The trial revealed unsettling details about Crane's life. Raised in a working-class family, he had a history of anger issues and had fallen into a crowd that glorified violence. His behavior was indicative of deeper societal issues, including the normalization of homophobia and a lack of accountability for hate-driven actions. The courtroom was filled with emotion as Aaron's family and friends shared their grief and anger. Despite the overwhelming evidence of a hate crime, Crane was convicted of manslaughter rather than murder and sentenced to 6 years in prison. His accomplices received lesser sentences, sparking outrage and debates about the justice system's handling of hate crimes. Aaron Webster's murder sent shockwaves through Vancouver and beyond. The LGBTQ community, already fighting for equality and safety, was galvanized by this tragedy. Vigils were held across the city, with thousands gathering to honor Aaron's memory and demand action. One of the most poignant moments came during a candlelight vigil in Stanley Park, where attendees walked in silence to the site where Aaron was attacked. The case also sparked significant changes in how hate crimes were addressed in Canada. Advocates pushed for stronger legislation to protect LGBTQ+ individuals and ensure that hate-based violence was prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This tragedy also became a rallying point for education campaigns, aiming to challenge societal norms that perpetuate discrimination. Aaron's tragic death has left a lasting mark on the LGBTQ community, not only in Vancouver but across Canada. It was a pivotal moment that pushed both activists and everyday people to rally for change, as they could no longer ignore the dangerous consequences of homophobia and hate. Aaron's story became a powerful catalyst for creating safer spaces, challenging hate-based violence, and promoting LGBTQ+ rights. One of the main organizations at the forefront of continuing Aaron's legacy is Qunity, Vancouver's LGBTQ+ resource center. Following Aaron's murder, Qunity expanded its reach and programs, addressing critical issues like the need for support systems for victims of hate crimes, mental health resources, and LGBTQ+ education. They've created initiatives like their annual Out in the Open Walk, where hundreds gather to honor those affected by violence and discrimination and reaffirm their commitment to a world where everyone, regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity, is treated with dignity and respect. Additionally, organizations such as Pride Vancouver have continuously brought attention to the need for safe spaces and the importance of creating a culture of inclusion. In the wake of Aaron's death, Pride Vancouver worked tirelessly to amplify the voices of marginalized communities within the LGBTQ+ spectrum. His memory remains a central part of their campaigns, as they continue to address hate crimes and advocate for stronger anti-discrimination laws. LGBTQ+ advocacy groups across Canada have taken inspiration from Aaron's story, pushing for more comprehensive policies that protect individuals from hate-fueled violence and discrimination. His case led to significant reforms in how hate crimes are prosecuted, including calls for harsher penalties for those convicted of crimes driven by hate and bias. In addition to grassroots movements, national organizations such as the Canadian Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce (CGLCC) and EGO Canada have advocated for greater recognition of LGBTQ+ issues within legal frameworks. They've provided crucial resources to support LGBTQ+ people who've experienced violence and have worked with lawmakers to improve laws against hate crimes, especially in regard to violence motivated by homophobia. In media and educational contexts, Aaron's story is regularly featured in documentaries, books, and public forums aimed at educating the broader public about the profound impact of hate crimes on individuals and communities. These educational materials help raise awareness, challenge the normalization of homophobia, and encourage empathy and understanding. Even though Aaron's life was tragically cut short, his death sparked a wave of action that has led to tangible changes in the fight for LGBTQ+ rights. Today, through the ongoing work of these organizations and countless individuals who continue to carry his story forward, Aaron's legacy lives on. His death was not in vain, as it remains a rallying cry for equality, safety, and love. Aaron Webster's story is one of heartbreak, but also of resilience. His life and tragic death remind us of the dangers that LGBTQ+ individuals still face and the importance of standing together to combat hate. While progress has been made, the fight for equality and safety is far from over. Thank you for joining me today to learn about Aaron Webster's story. It's through sharing these stories that we can honor the lives lost and push for a safer, more inclusive future. If you found this video meaningful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, if you or someone you know has been impacted by hate crimes, organizations like Qunity are here to help. Check the description box for links and resources. Until next time, stay safe and stay strong. Together, we can make a difference.